I'm gonna sing.
You're listening to another Woodshop podcast, the okayest podcast of its type. Your hosts are Daniel Dunlap of Daniel Dunlap Woodworks and Peter Kapar of Petrie's Workshop. You can find them as well as the podcast on your favorite social media platforms.
Welcome to episode 186 of another Woodshop podcast. This week we are joined by someone who was so good last time, we just had to bring him back. He's a passionate woodworker, a mad scientist, and an educator, bringing building wonderful projects out of his small shop, which, by the way, is packed to the brim with tools and somehow still super useful. So, what's your excuse, guys? And he's a joker. He's a bit of a troll, but he keeps us on our toes. Morgan Hopfensberger is here.
Hey-o.
Can you say his name for me one more time? I'm going to try to write this down.
Morgan Hopfensberger. Did I say that right, Morgan?
I have
Nailed
no
it.
idea.
Nailed it.
And I had to
That was
write it
right?
out. It's Hop Fence Burger. That's the way I was able to pronounce it, because otherwise I was going to butcher it.
Hop
No, I mean,
Fence
that's-
Burger.
No, it's good. That's perfect. Everybody needs a system to get things right.
And
Right.
it's such a throwback because you were actually here on episode 91 on December 5th, 2021. So it's been
Holy
over
moly.
2 years. Yeah. Or 3 years. Over 3. Wow.
Nah,
Holy moly.
2 years.
No, 2 years. That's
2
right.
years
It's
change.
now 24. Yeah. 2 years and change.
Yeah.
Crazy. But you know what's also crazy, Dan?
All of our awesome patrons.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got new patrons this week, yo.
We did?
I'm excited. We got 2 new patrons. Eric from Bumbleshoots, or just Bumbleshoots.
I love Eric.
Actually, the name on the Patreon account is just Bumbleshoots. So welcome aboard,
Sometimes he's just Bumbleshoots.
And Chris from Black Forest Creations. Thank you to both of you for joining
nice.
the army. We appreciate you guys helping us out. Also, I told myself I was going to get this figured out, and I didn't.
Yeah, so-
Why did I do that?
I'm going to interrupt Dan because he's definitely ready to read all of our top tier
I'm already
patrons,
ready.
and-
I'm already
Okay,
I just
never
took
mind.
a
I'm going to
click.
stop stalling.
You know how we like to give a little special shout out to all of our VIP patrons? That
Yep.
goes like this. Justin Frazier from Frazier Canyon Woodworks, Jesse McIntyre from Sage Hill Woodcraft, Gillette Woodworks, Victor Aragama, Nick Brim over at Nick Brim Woodworking, Matt Maynard of Patriotic Pines, Bill Burkle of WTB Woodworking, Malcolm at Bossa Nova Woodworks, Justin at Calvary Customs, Patrick Gensel, Michael Flickinger, Scott Shirk from Red Leg Custom Woodworks, Max and Mindy Coons of Stubby K Studio, and Jacob Miller from A Sweet Shop. Thank you. Okay, so that's a new thing Pete found.
We have sound effects now.
Wow.
I mean, listen, that's what I say every time that you read off the patrons, because those wonderful people literally keep the lights on. All of our patrons do, and we appreciate
Yeah.
it. It's amazing
Yeah.
because they're the
And
sponsors
if,
this week.
they are our
Patrons.
sponsors this week, and if you want to sponsor an episode just like those fine people, you can go over to patreon.com/another woodshop podcast and get joined up over there. We have a couple tiers. We have extra content that we provide. You can get the episodes early.
Ooh.
You get the pre-show in audio format if you don't want to watch our ugly faces on YouTube live.
But why wouldn't
Totally
you?
Yeah, I understand. I really do.
I mean,
And yeah. What do you have now, Pete? Because I'm out of words.
Oh, you're out of words? No. Oh, well,
Yes.
thank you for those of you that actually don't know what we offer. There is 4 tiers. There's also a 5th free tier and a 6th super secret top level tier that no one knows about. It's just being our friends, which you're all part of. But there's different levels and you can get different features because we put out 4 pieces of content, 5 really if you count Instagram, every single week. So you get the pre-show live, and then we lock that down. So then only our patrons get the video. Then they get the audio in their podcast form. So they literally just get it on their phone. That's an hour of content right there. And then you get the podcast, which is anywhere from
Not
an
good
hour
content,
to 2
but
hours.
content.
Just content. You get content.
Yes.
That's all we promise you. And then you get the podcast. Patrons get it early in podcast form, and we also launched the video. So some people like to put the podcast on in their shops on the TV and look at our dumb faces and our wonderful, what we got behind us and our lights and stuff. So that's a lot of content. And I was actually talking to some other podcasters in the last few weeks, and they're like, "You guys are insane. We just put out audio. That's all they get. One episode, one shot, one opportunity." And
Okay,
so we try to do right by you guys. And of course, every week we do a little post to promote what guests we're going to have, and occasionally something silly, because that's just how we do. And speaking of something silly, Morgan Hopp is here this week. Hey, buddy. Yeah, you.
He's looking behind.
Yeah, the
Me?
mustache matador himself.
I like that.
Yeah, listen, there's Mustache Matt. He's got the trademark handlebar mustache, but as far as like a T-ball coach mustache, like there's no one that rocks it like Morgan rocks it.
Morgan is more of a middle school gym teacher mustache.
Oh, still T-ball coach. Okay.
Middle school girls softball coach mustache.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. It's a very quality mustache.
So Morgan, the last time you were here, I literally looked at the show notes right before this. You had just gotten your first Onefinity CNC, and you were trying to figure out how you were going to build a table for it that'll just float and hover and be upside down and cut sideways and all this stuff. And now you've got 2 of those machines. You actually are loosely affiliated. 3 machines.
Loosely?
Wow. Yeah, you're affiliated with Onefinity now, which is awesome because Dan and I are big fans of both you and the brand. But why don't you give us an update? Let's do a fresh, who the hell do you think you are? We'd love to hear about where you've been the last 2 years, what you're up to, and where your life is headed.
Well, thanks. So last time I was on, I was just, that was a few months before my departure from my last job. I guess I'm probably not gonna. Don't have to get into.
It was a minor
specifics
gig that he did.
It was a pretty significant thing. But like
One could say it was small, like micro.
Yeah, it was tiny, almost invisible. Yeah, and actually, the last time I was on the show, I was doing it from the shop there. But yeah, so. I got connected with Onefinity, and they sent me a machine. I was trying to, I hadn't even put it together yet. I was trying to build a flip top CNC bench, and I did actually build the bench, and I could have actually put it on there and operated it, I think. But all said and done, I don't think that it was a fun idea, but just not practical at all. But since that time, I'm now actually employed by officially employed by Onefinity. So yeah, I did I guess I would call it freelancing full time for them for about 2 years, but now we just a couple months ago made it Facebook official, and
oh really?
Yeah,
it went from it's complicated to in a relationship.
Went from it's complicated to in a relationship, and
yeah, screw LinkedIn. We updated Facebook.
They put a ring on it, huh?
Yeah, put a ring on it.
I didn't realize that you were freelancing for them. I mean, I thought you were full time with them from the get go. That's pretty cool.
Freelancing full time.
Okay.
But I mean, I don't know. I guess there's this kind of semantics. Like, what's the difference between freelancing full time and full time employment?
Medical insurance.
Yeah, there's
mustache insurance. You get
that.
Mustache insurance, like you would dental.
Yeah, my mustache has its own policy.
Cool.
I got an umbrella policy for my beard. I know what you mean.
It's more than my life insurance policy.
It's the only reason you got hired.
Pretty much. It's like me and Stone, like the 2 main people that you would be, public facing for Onefinity, and we both have just outstanding mustaches, if I do say so myself. So
Stone came out of nowhere with his.
Yeah, he was rocking a mustache at Maker Camp, and that caught me off guard. I was not ready for it. It's so great.
Yeah, and so if you see if you see a tall, lanky person with a mustache, looks like they might hurt kids, they probably work for Onefinity. So
No, you're too docile.
That is a solid endorsement of the company you work for.
And you guys are both lanky. Like he's not as tall as you, but you guys are both like skinny, lanky dudes.
well,
with
people
mustaches.
like whenever we go to events, people think that me and Stone are brothers. Like they are just almost certain of it. I'm like, no,
You guys look similar. I can't quite put my finger on it.
it's yeah. But so anyway, yeah, that's yeah, last time I was with you guys, I was with another brand, and I since left there and worked for a couple of years freelancing, I guess you'd call it. And now I'm with Onefinity. It's been a hell of a journey.
And while you were doing that, you also had a passion project. I mean, when you were you had just that year, I think, gotten your shop delivered to your property. You started outfitting it and stuff. And that's been, you've done a multi-episode series on that as well, where you were just kind of showing off how you're doing a layout, what your plans were, you know, insulation, power, all that fun stuff. And you're in it right now. You're in actually a part of it. That's the office section, right?
Yeah.
So why don't you talk about your shop a little bit? I would love to hear more about it.
Before you continue, I have Pete caught me off guard with something. You had your shop delivered?
Yeah. So it was a
tell me more about that.
On Temu.
I got it for $92 on Temu.
It took six years.
So yeah, so, that was kind of the like. At my last job, I was kind of had one foot out the door, the other on a banana peel, and I wanted to do something else. And I've been going to these events with other makers and content creators, and the feedback that I got every time was just like, why aren't you just doing this yourself? Why are you just doing it for one brand? And that really stuck in my head. And that kind of grew and grew, and then when things just I just wasn't into my job anymore, I kind of started this plan of I was gonna build out this shop on my property. It was gonna be small, but I kind of learned that I have a knack for optimizing small spaces, doing a lot in a small area.
I need to invite you over to my shop.
Yeah, you need to come over to Dan's shop and help him out a little bit.
I would be happy to. And so
noted.
The plan was to continue working at my job and get this shop and build it out, over time while I was working there. And then there was just like a singular event that I ended up quitting, just like on the spot, much earlier than I had anticipated. And then my shop was actually delivered several days later.
Oi.
Yeah. So it was like, okay, now I'm unemployed, and now I have this shop that I have to build out completely.
Better do something with it.
And it was
tiny bit stressful.
Yeah, a little bit stressful. So I like to think of it just glass half full. I didn't make the wrong decision. I made the right decision at the wrong time.
Ooh, I like that.
So it was the right decision at the wrong time, but it did ultimately end up being the right decision. I spent 6 months building it out. I mean, like when it was delivered, it was basically just a shed. I mean, what you would expect a shed to look like: open stud walls. The electrical was already all hooked up and stuff, but I mean, that was it. So I had to drywall and insulate, and then get all my tools in and kind of build it out. Like it just kind of is everything is like built together very intentionally, for very specific purpose. So like it's a lot of planning, a lot of planning went into it. And I did a YouTube series, and the only reason that I started my own YouTube channel was to document this thing, just because I think it's cool project, but it was never my intention to like be a YouTuber or rely on YouTube in any significant way for like income or anything. It's just to document the process. And
By the way, I highly recommend a series just if you're in a small space and you're trying to maximize your output and where you're placing stuff, just check out Morgan's channel.
Absolutely.
well, thank you.
Like, share, and subscribe.
It's so yeah,
And
so the actual shop space, to give you specifics, is it's only 284 square feet. So it's
my goodness.
11 by 22. And in that space I have 3 CNCs, a table saw with a 60-inch capacity because I had to modify some stuff, router table, miter saw, lots of places for assembly, drill press, lots of storage, and this little office space that I'm
So that
sitting in.
includes, I was going to ask you, that includes the office you're sitting in right now.
So okay, so the 11 by 22 space is on the other side of this wall right here.
Okay. So
but
this is the additional part.
Yeah, but this is, I can touch both walls with my hands while I'm sitting here at my desk. It's only about 5.5 feet wide. And all I needed was enough space for my computer and some instruments and 3D printers and stuff. And that's it.
Do you have a porch as well? I remember
there's
the
a
original
porch on
renders
here.
has a porch. Yeah. See,
Yeah,
it's nice.
there's a porch, but I mean, it doesn't really do me any good. I mean, like I don't get a whole lot of use out of it. I can't work on there. So
Well, at least you can like zip up a jacket when you're getting out there in the rain or something to run over to the house.
yeah, maybe
Relax in a lawn chair or something.
do some photo shoots or whatever. Out
Is
there.
it big enough for a rocking chair?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I could put a rocking chair on it and
There you
nearly fall off, but yeah, that's
A single person porch swing, like make it really sad.
just
Just enough for one butt. That's it.
just like me out there. Just this is my life now.
Hey, honey, you want to come out and just watch me swing?
There's no room for you, but I'm
just
having
want
a
you
great
around.
time. I'm having a great time. You can watch.
All right, so back to the shop. Sorry. So yeah, 22 by 11 is the main shop space, not counting the office.
Yeah, and so that's where I do all of my work. So I was kind of hoping that I would really just be like creating content in here, doing what I was doing at my last job, but just offering that to other brands in this industry. And I did do some of that. I worked with a few other brands on a couple projects, but ultimately it was the best move to just focus all my energy on working with Onefinity. And so now all the project-based videos for Onefinity's YouTube channel I shoot in here.
That's awesome. That's amazing.
And so I designed it in a way that, like, obviously you see YouTubers, woodworkers on YouTube have shops that look, like little dungeons, and shops that look, like very, very, very nice. But I just wanted mine to be presentable enough to be able to shoot video in, that looks, I don't know, polished but approachable.
That's one of the things that keeps me from making more YouTube videos is it's not very presentable. I understand that.
Dan's shop looks like
It's
the
not
discount aisle at a
presentable.
Menards.
and that was, I mean, honestly, like I said, there was a ton of planning that went into it. And that was a huge part of the planning, is like, okay, what do I want to actually do in the shop? I want to shoot content, so I have to design it and build it out in a way that it is actually, something that is like not off-putting in video when, people open it up and like, this guy's in a, what is all that?
But dude, that's so relatable though. Like that's more relatable than these big fancy shops. Like even
But distractions like that will pull the viewer away from what you're
if
trying
it's
to
messy
convey,
or
though.
yeah, if there's just like random scraps and stuff, like I get that. But like your shop is very
Yes.
relatable because it's a tighter space and like you're still able to cut sheets of plywood and other stuff in there, with some trickery, with some magic, but like you can do it.
I can. And I mean, it's essentially the same size, about the same size as a standard single car garage. And a lot of woodworkers, I would say a majority of the woodworkers, kind of in our particular corner of this space of this market, are working in single or two car garages. That's
fair.
that's the familiar environment for most viewers. So it's, I want it to be kind of a aspirational space. People like, yeah, like, oh, I would love for my space to be that organized, or that, but like not so much that people are like, it's, I'll never get there, or that's not relatable. I mean, it's just like, yeah, that looks just like my space, it's just set up better.
Dude, like, I mean, I have a 2-car garage, and like I see spaces like yours, and it just screams like cozy shop. And like it makes you want that anyways. Like,
Yes.
yeah, I've got the bigger space, my big bright lights, and I have white walls now, so everything's bright in there. But I'm like, I love a cozy shop, man. That's why I love my print shop, because it's like,
I have a
so
2-car
cozy.
garage. It's 22 by 22, and I'm jealous of Morgan's space.
Yeah.
Oh, shucks. And I mean, obviously, like, there are times that I would appreciate a bigger space, just from the, as well as I think that I've optimized it and made it as functional as it can possibly be. Physics are still physics. I can only build something so big in this space. So like,
Right.
I built a giant thing, this huge retail fixture last year, and it took up the entire shop. Like, by the end of it, and I had to deliver it in sections and stuff, and deliver it and assemble it on site in sections. But by the end of it, I mean, like, there was like barely walking room in here, and I'm proud of myself that I was able to do it. But at the same time, it's like, I wish I didn't have to wrestle through it.
So,
Right.
I don't know if you're aware of this, but Onefinity, one of the greatest features of the Onefinity machines that they don't really talk about a lot, and actually give me a lot of crap for, is storage. It's really great as a table to put stuff on and like keep on there, and definitely don't get any hate messages from them about that. Not hate, but like they love to troll. you guys love to troll me about it.
Well, just like my Nordic Trek is the best clothing.
Yeah, it's such a nice like $700-800 clothing rack.
Yeah, I just hang my clothes on it. It dries, and all the wrinkles go away.
That's how I use my dust collector. I throw things on it.
Well, so like, fortunately, so my brain is such that I would do the exact same thing if my machine was out in the open, to where I could just easily set something on it just without thinking about it.
Yeah.
But all of my machines are in enclosures, to where it would be the least convenient place to put something without thinking about it. So fortunately, I haven't run into that. But the trade-off is that it's not as convenient to get material on and off of, and but still, I mean, I'll take having to kneel down for a few minutes at a time to load and unload material, or change bits or whatever. I'll gladly trade that off to be able to have the functionality of a CNC in the shop.
You heard it here first, guys. Morgan has no trouble kneeling to take a load out of the machine.
Yikes.
For now.
Not too much. Oh, wait, I have a thing for that. Hang on.
Oh, God.
Bruh.
There we go.
Bruh.
I'm so not good at that.
So I feel like I just rambled on.
No, that's great. I mean, like, listen.
That's why we brought you on. We want to hear you ramble.
A lot of stuff into that shop, and you do have a certain, shall I say, pizzazz, certain approach to your videos. It's stoic, silly.
He shows a lot of leg.
Shows a lot of leg. He also shows a lot of chest. If you watch his shower pasta videos,
he does do that. That's I wasn't gonna bring that up, but yeah.
What I do on my personal Instagram It's none of your business.
It's a public one. You posted on a public one.
I know.
And tagged us in the stories.
No, so yeah. So it's a weird thing where, like, I've been a maker for a while, and I've been in this community and making things long since before I had anything to do with any brands or anything like that.
Right.
And that's my work in my personal. I do put a lot of stuff about work on my personal Instagram because I really enjoy what I do. But a lot of like woodworking accounts like make it only about that. And just like anything, people that do a certain thing make it only about that one thing. A lot of my stuff is just like me just goofing around.
Shower pasta.
Shower pasta. See, we have this
me eating stuff in the shower. It's whatever.
We have this running joke on a show now of like, one time, Sean that works from Shaper, Sean Kirsch.
Yeah.
He was like,
It was at Maker Camp.
He was a Maker Camp. He said, someone said to him, like, Shaper Sean, and he's like, sometimes I'm just Sean, and it was in such a like subtle, quick little but like sad way that we're like, now we're always like, hey, sometimes he's just Sean, or like in your case, like
sometimes you're not Morgan.
You're not Onefinity Morgan. Sometimes you're just Morgan. That's
Yeah.
what it is. No matter what we do, like, what company we work for, because we've started. I don't know. The audience probably has noticed that, like, first of all, we don't bring brands on usually. We don't, like, that's not our thing. We've been big.
Glad
about
you
that.
brought this up. I was gonna do this if you didn't.
Yeah, like we try not to bring brands on because we've had brands ask us in the past, especially ones that would like, and we try to have woodworking brands specific, and they'd be like, "Hey, we'd love to do like an episode where we talk about like our sandpaper," and like, no, thank you, we love you guys, but that's not what we do. But we love bringing on, because more and more actual makers, actual content creators are getting more heavily involved with the brands. Like, we've had Adam Barnett, he works with Rockler.
Tiffany.
We've had Tiff, works for Workbench Con, Sabretooth, and what's the other one? There's one more. Blanket on it. And Haven as well. And then you work with Onefinity. So like, we love bringing in makers because we want to put a face to the brand as well. A lot of times,
But you were maker first.
You were maker first. Yeah.
Yeah.
And now you just happen to work with a brand as well.
Yeah, I had a furniture business for 7 years before I worked.
Talk about that. I want to hear this.
Yeah, so
he made squatty potties.
Almost exclusively
out of bent lamination, so they're fancy.
Yeah, so I guess what got me into woodworking is I used to the first thing I started working on was I built speaker cabinets for guitars. And like I played in a band, and I just had this huge 4 12-inch speaker cabinet, 4 12-inch speakers, and the thing was like 150 pounds. And I hated lugging the thing around, so I wanted to have a smaller speaker cabinet for easy. We had a weekly gig that we would go up and down these stairs every week, and I hated it. So I was like, I need a speaker cabinet. Didn't find anything I liked, so I was like, I'm going to try to build one. And having no experience whatsoever, I built a speaker cabinet, and it was terrible. But I fell in love with the process of doing it, and so I tried it again, and the next one was a little better, and that was still not good enough. And so 4th or 5th iteration, I was like actually happy with it, and I did it out of like solid wood, and just made it kind of like almost like a furniture piece. And then so I just like people noticing that and asking if they could get if they could get one from me. And so I started just doing speaker cabinets all the time. Like I would just sell custom speaker cabinets. So, like people could choose, like I had a few different styles. They could choose like their grill cloth and the speakers that they wanted in them. It was cool, but that's a very limited market. Turns out there's not a huge market for bespoke speaker cabinets that are 3 times as much as anything else.
I don't know, worked out for coffee. Like $20,000 speaker boxes or whatever they were with magic inside.
Well, he's an anomaly. He's got something he's got magic in his
somewhere.
fingers
He's
somewhere.
got something.
He's got something.
Um,
That's cool, dude. I had no idea you did speaker cabinets. I mean, I knew you were into music in some way. Obviously, you got a piano, I guess.
let me see.
I almost said
there's
That's a
guitar.
keyboard.
there's one of them down there.
Ooh, ooh, that left one is cool.
Yeah.
Oh,
that-
my left, that one. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, that okay. And I got like I started like people asked me to like rehouse their tube amps, and so I would do that, just like pull the chassis out and build a new enclosure for their amps and stuff. But still not a very big market. Sorry, I'm all wrapped up here. But people started asking me for furniture. Everybody, very few people need nice speaker cabinets, but everybody needs furniture in the house. So people started asking me for furniture. They're like, can you build this? And I didn't. I mean, all these are basically boxes, but
Right.
of course the answer is always, yeah, I'll figure it out. And so it just kind of transitioned into building furniture. And so I
Very
did
natural progression. Yeah.
yeah. So I did that for a while, and then it was just kind of like I took on this one project that took me 6 or 7 months to complete, and I underbid myself very badly.
Oh, Dan definitely can't relate to that. No.
Not at all.
Yeah. No, I admittedly I underbid myself very badly, and the whole thing just kind of like burned me out on it. And so at the like kind of toward the tail end of that, like my wife and I were talking about like we wanted to start a family, and consistency would be necessary to facilitate that. And then I saw a job listing for microjig, and so that's when I dissolved my furniture business and started working for, oh crap, I just said it, didn't I?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't hear a word. You said what?
Anyway, so
You worked for Home
yes.
Depot for a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, so then I started that job, and I was the creative director there for 5 years, and then I got tired of being creative for them.
Well, you didn't
Makes
get tired
sense.
of being creative. You just got tired of being creative for others.
for them, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then started this journey, and it has brought me to being the one. Again, I feel like I've been rambling for a long time.
That's fine. We're interviewing you. That's fine. That's what you're supposed to be doing.
So I don't know if
Okay.
I don't know if you know this. We bring on guests so we don't have to talk.
Yeah, this is very
It
strange.
makes our life so much easier.
We
That's
do
smart.
this every week.
Yeah.
We're basically
Very
Howard
smart.
Stern. We do this once a week with a guest.
Yeah, you don't have to talk much. But yeah, I
Like,
guess
show us your chest. That's what he
Yeah.
does on his show too, right? Oh wait, I've seen that in your videos already. That's right.
I'm not shy about showing people my chest. There's not much to show.
So fast forward a little bit.
Yep.
You're working for Onefinity now, full time, not
Yep.
freelance.
Yeah.
Are you working on anything cool right now that you can talk about? Is there anything coming up? Can you give us? I'm looking for insight because I'm a Onefinity fanboy, and I want to be first to hear about it. It's basically what I'm doing right now.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, at the moment, well, there's a, and I think that one of the other, one of the beta testers, put something up about this earlier this week, so it's not like a secret, but there's a firmware update, that we're working on. It should be coming out fairly soon. I would say, well, I don't want to give a time frame, but fairly soon, where the interface has macros. So a single button that you can push. So like if you at the end of a job, just to get your spindle
Right.
and stuff out of the way, you hit one button and it'll send the machine back to the back right corner.
Yes.
And
I've
then
seen a
you
few
can
people
do,
talking about that.
yeah, there's another button. So it's basically just it's a express lane G code execution if
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah, I
So
like that.
one
Or
button,
like a hotkey for something.
yeah, almost like a hotkey. So like you can park it. I'm working on one right now that I have a toolpath that I made. It's not complicated at all. It looks like a surfacing toolpath, but it's just a cleanup toolpath. So
Were you running a vacuum?
yeah, I just turn the
I
vacuum on,
love that.
and it just goes over the whole machine.
Huh.
And so instead of me having to reach back to the back of the
Yeah.
machine under my bench and vacuum everything up, I just run this toolpath and it just vacuums itself up. So a single button to just turn on the vacuum, start running it, clean up the machine after
love
after
that.
the job is done.
Dude, I
So-
love that. I want to check that out. That sounds so good.
So I'm excited to see what kind of nifty shortcuts, what kind of nifty macros people come up with. It's just cool. It's just G code, just like a shortcut to a G code execution.
That's awesome.
That is smart. I can only imagine what people are going to come up with. I can't wait to steal somebody else's idea.
well,
that's
Also,
because it's just G code. It's just telling it.
that's all it is.
Just tell where to go.
Yeah.
also confession. I've had my Onefinity since the first iteration when Onefinity only released the Woodworker, the 32 by 32. I've had it since then. I have not updated the firmware since then. I'm scared to. My business relies on my CNC. I don't want to take any risks. I'm of the mindset that if it's not broke, don't fix it.
But it really, I mean, like it really is so easy to update the firmware. And
I know it's easy, but I'm scared to death that like I'm gonna update it and it's just not gonna work anymore, and I'm gonna be down for days.
Trust me, the developers, they are very, very cautious, and they do a lot of communication with beta testers and make sure that it is thoroughly tested, and that there are no bugs before they release any firmware updates. So if there is a firmware out there, it's been tested, it works, and it's an improvement from the last.
So I don't think I have your direct phone number, but I know I have Stone's, and I'm gonna update the firmware tomorrow. And if anything goes wrong,
Godspeed. Good luck, guys.
I'm calling Stone.
Must be nice to have like the main guy on speed dial, Dan.
Right?
Yeah,
and I think that's
weird flex.
We just bring these people on so we have like a direct to the brand. That's all it is. It's just a ploy.
So Braden from Little Bug Woodworking,
Never heard of
local
him.
to me. He was one of the beta testers for the foreman or the elite foreman,
The George
upgrade,
the George Elite Foreman.
Yeah.
With the drip tray.
So I went over and was
I'm sorry.
So I went over to his shop, me and Nick Brim did, and we were helping him upgrade it and everything. And he ran into a little trouble. He's like, I don't know what to do. I'm like, hey, I got Stone's phone number. You want it? We can call him. So
I know a guy. The guy.
Yeah, that was like my one contribution to helping Braden, because Nick was doing most of the helping and I was drinking Busch Light Peach.
But I really do that. I think that's is one thing that's unique about Onefinity, is that like it's still pretty new. I mean, we're only a couple of years old, and so and we've grown like unbelievably since we started. And I just kind of I say I just kind of recently got on, but
dude, you're part of it.
But
you're part
like,
of the we.
But it's I don't know. There's I think that the way that we approach and relate to and are just part of the community is different from other brands, not even just CNC brands, like really any woodworking brand. There's very few brands that have people that are actually like active parts of the community. So like you were talking about Sean is absolutely a huge part of the community.
Oh yeah.
You guys are at
there's-
ground zero. You're approachable and you can be reached out to. That I mean, the thing is, like, we work with plenty of brands that there's some brands that you send in a question or request and you get a reply at 3 a.m. because maybe they're not in the same time zone as you, like like by far. So
yeah.
it's nice that you guys are like you're all North America based. You're all other people that like we know, and you're testing this at
Right.
like at ground zero. You're not testing it in a factory in perfect conditions or whatever. Like you guys are in the shop trying to break it actively.
I'm testing machines here at my home.
Yeah.
Like it's
That's awesome.
It's and the other like beta testers are people that we know and trust and have relationships with. They're testing things and we're communicating with them one-on-one. And I don't know. I think we have a just a real special kind of community relationship with the woodworking community.
Yeah. I mean, the creators of Onefinity, like they were always very heavily involved in like the CNC community, and like they wanted to do right. They wanted to build the best ultimate like machine and keep it well maintained because like let's be real, before Onefinity, the king was like Shapeoko of all things. And now we get a Shapeoko and it's like, yeah, but it's aluminium. Like it's like
it's aluminium.
Yeah, like it's crazy. Like they took such a leap forward. It's literally what's happening right now with 3D printers and bamboo. Like
pretty much.
They literally took like, oh, aluminum extrusion, that's cute. Hold my beer. Like here, 50 millimeter pipe. Like this thing is not flexing. So it's really cool to see this company come in, literally disrupt the entire industry and make all the other companies rethink what they're doing. And while doing it affordably, because like, yes, granted, these machines are not cheap, but they're not expensive.
Not
relative to like giant CNCs, yes.
Relative to the level of work they can provide, the level of hardiness that they have. Because like to get something like that, you used to have to look at a solid like 4x8 CNC. I'm sorry, 4x4 CNC or something.
I'm basically running an entire business off quote unquote hobby grade CNCs. I mean, I use the term hobby grade CNCs very, very loosely here. I mean, I think technically they're still hobby grade, but they're not. They're not. They're not.
I wouldn't put them in that category. No.
No, I've heard other people refer to them as hobby grade still.
It's prosumer.
Prosumer.
Yeah, that's
that's
more
the word.
accurate.
That's the word. I was like thinking like there's a word for it. It's dumb and everyone uses it.
Yeah.
It's prosumer.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, it's the machine, but I mean a 4x4 machine in this kind of kind of upper end of hobby level CNCs, prosumer, if we want to call it that. It's still less than any competitors in the same kind of space
for 100%.
And I think just a much better machine for sure.
I mean, like, so, well, first of all, let's just be clear here. Like, this is not like a Onefinity episode, whatever. But we're genuinely talking about the thing we talk about almost every episode. Like, the Onefinity brand is solid. We love the machines. So, like, I do want to talk about it because, let's be real, the only real competitor right now is probably the Inventables Pro, whatever, VCarve, whatever the new one is. That's, like, nice and beefy, yeah, but, like, it's also $7,000. You know, it's like it's significantly.
Is that driven by a ball screw or is it belt?
So
it's
so this is the
rail, I think.
This is the first. So I think that other brands kind of saw what Onefinity was doing, and are trying to catch up. And so this is the first one that's ball screw driven. Before
which
that,
is
they were all
way more solid than like little rubber belts.
Yeah, before that they were all belt driven. So this is the first ball screw driven one in that line from those brands. And I think that's kind of it almost feels like a kind of like a cat and mouse thing now, because like the people that are coming up with ideas and engineering new things for Onefinity, they are woodworkers. They are people who
Yeah.
just, are just CNC enthusiasts. And so they're coming up with stuff that the kind of the bigger brands just aren't really thinking about. And so
Yeah.
now it's kind of like the scale is tipped to where they're trying to keep up now.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. I mean, look at so one thing that kind of got breezed over, and this is one of the biggest leaps forward in the consumer, prosumer, whatever level of CNCs that really didn't get as much notoriety as it should have, is the fact that now these machines are running on a Masso controller. And if you're not familiar with that is, basically it's an all-in-one platform. It's a touchscreen, but it's not about the touchscreen and like the options you get in there. It's the hardware and the software running on it. It's so infinitely customizable, and they're able to add on things. And this is pro level software running on there that like you can resume. I mean, you guys were showing us at Maker Camp, like you can resume. Let's say you lose power, the machine recovers, tells you where it stopped. You can start at that line of G code. Like no skipping, no nothing, like exactly where it was. It'll restart in that spot. How powerful this is, and like now they're talking about like adding macros and things like that. And that system, that platform is so powerful that you can just keep building on top of it. And not enough people are giving it the credit that it deserves. Tool changers and other things. Like it has so many options. It's literally running at like when I talk about me using Fusion 360, I use 10% of it. It's like that. The Masso can do so much more than even the Onefinity's taken advantage of.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And by the way, I just to break from what we're talking about, didn't come here to just talk about like Onefinity stuff. Like
No.
that's where the conversation naturally went,
because we wanted to talk about it too. Because the thing is, we can't nerd out about CNCs with people often.
Yeah. No, and believe me, I'm happy. I'm thrilled to death to talk about it.
You're allowed. It's okay. We brought it up.
Okay, good. No, I mean the Master controller is freaking amazing. It's there's like a few key features. Like if I could narrow down, like the main benefits is just like a few features is the power loss recovery. Like if anything goes awry, you can jump to the line of code. The optical sensors, it's a closed loop step motor system that it's constantly sending information to the controller, telling where the machine is at any given moment, so that if anything does go awry, it knows exactly where it was and it can go back, power loss or not. And it's just yes, the customizability I think is the huge thing. Like you can change pretty much any setting to whatever you want. Yeah. I did a whole video where I was testing just how fast could I get the machine to make a cut. And I was able to get that machine to cut 1/4 inch deep with a 1/4 inch spiral bit. I want to say it was like it was over 2,000 inches per minute.
If you're not familiar, that's stupid fast.
Yeah. So like
we usually work in like low hundreds.
Yeah. With a spindle, I would assume, and not a Makita router.
Yes, it was with a spindle. But I don't think that the whether a spindle or a router, that would have been the limiting factor. I don't think it's the machine. It's the limiting factor would have been the spindle itself. And so like the machine and the motors are strong enough to, I mean, it's just insane. But I ended up stopping. I want to say it was like 2250 inches per minute. But it's not, understand that there's a ramp up and a ramp down. So it's not going that fast for the entire
immediately cut.
But you can see on the monitor that it does it gives you a readout of what the machine's doing at any given moment, and you can see that it did reach that speed right at the middle of the cut, which is
That's
just
insane.
which is just bonkers. And of
You know,
course,
you were
it's
too
not
preoccupied
practical.
with whether you could. You never stopped to think of whether you should.
Exactly. It's not practical to do that, but the whole point was to just test it and see how hard I could push this thing. And I decided to stop before I pushed it so hard that it broke.
Before you
Because it was
exploded
kind
My
of
the
first
bit.
question would be, what was the quality of the cut?
terrible.
I guess.
Oh,
Here we
But-
go.
But
Yeah.
But it did it.
But it
well,
did
it did
it.
at 2000 because the bit broke immediately, so it was just moving.
Right. But so but I think the takeaway is that it did it, and that's
Yeah.
the limiting factor isn't the machine. It's always going to be either the bit or the spindle or router or
Right.
anything like that. So there's
The weakest link in
Other
that chain
machine-
is going to be one of those two.
Yep.
exactly, and other machines kind of in this space don't even move that fast. Much like
No, yeah.
let alone
That's the-
cutting something, they won't even move that fast.
I'm pretty sure that. So I got the original woodworker, and I also have the journeyman. I don't have the fancy elite Masso thing,
Show
but
off.
those are still very, very capable machines.
Oh,
and
dude,
I think,
the most basic version of the machine is light years ahead of everything else.
yeah, I think they're capable of going like, I want to say 450 inches per minute, maybe 600. I don't know, Morg, you could probably correct me.
Yeah,
But
I think
I've never
default,
I've never
yeah.
I've never even come close to that. I think I'll max out at like 180.
yeah, I rarely, I don't know, because like when I'm using the CNC, I'll set my material up, I'll start a toolpath, and then I'm coming back to my computer and editing video or doing emails or something. So like I'm not trying to fly through stuff. Like just
Yeah.
It
where's
gives you
the
time
fire?
to do something else. So.
Yeah.
No, I mean, like, I'll do it at a reasonable rate, but like, I'm not trying to like push this thing to its absolute limit. If I just got to cut something, I'll do like 150, 200 inches per minute. That's fine, because and it'll still finish before I'm done doing whatever it is I'm doing over here. So that kind of speed isn't necessary or even practical. But
Right.
it
It's like-
it is a testament to how well made the machine is.
It's like having a 1,000 horsepower like car.
right.
It's not practical, but
No.
it sure is cool to have.
It's cool to have.
There's still speed limits. You still cannot exceed the speed limits.
So
Yeah.
speaking of exceeding speed limits, and this is kind of going off on a little bit of a tangent, but I want to talk 3D printing and CNC here. We were so me, Dave from 3D DIY Dave, and who's got
Is this a
the
good time
side
for me to
wall
go to
mounted.
the restroom? with
Yes,
this
go
3D
go.
printing talk?
Yep, go. Poop.
Fantastic.
Go ahead. I mean, it's gonna be CNC talk, but I want to start with the 3D printing part of it.
I'm just gonna
went
bamboo.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's also P1P, right? Or P1S? Yeah.
It's a P1P.
P.
Nope.
P or S?
S. P1S.
Yeah, P1S. Yeah, that's the S is cool. It stands for super duper. But anyways, so we went to the show. It was me, Patrick Gensel, and Dave Meow, and we go to the show, and one of the booths is showcasing Meow. One of the booths is showcasing a 3D printer that's running not on belts, not on rods with screw rods with Nemo steppers, kind of like what the Onefinity is. It's running on maglev. If you're not familiar with what maglev is, it's magnetic levitation. It's what those like fancy trains in Germany and Japan that can go 200 something miles an hour that can go faster, but they literally have to be limited because it'll fall apart at that speed. So this thing is running on maglev, and they're able to get it so exact. It stops like as finely as a stepper motor would. And it's fully controlled by magnets and power. So this thing has technically almost infinite acceleration if you apply enough power. So like this is the future. Like we're, like Onefinity's killing it right now with this setup, this robust setup. But like you were talking about speed, like speed is only limiting factor for now. I mean, look at what Bamboo did. They completely disrupted the entire industry by by like doubling the speed and still having quality prints when every other brand made you think that like, no, that's impossible. So
Yeah.
like this technology is only going to keep improving. But like this is what you guys did was the first like leap forward in a long time, aside from going to a pro level machine, which also
Sure.
those, like, say what you want about like a nice big 4x8 CNC. Those guys are grabbing a USB thumb drive out of their computer, plug it into a controller that just has buttons on it, no display, nothing, whatever, and you just press play.
Yeah.
Granted, the machines are robust, but the interface kind of sucks.
Yeah, and I think that's the other thing that Onefinity has done very well is made the interface approachable. Like I think the hardest part about getting into CNC is learning the design and tool pathing part of it. But once
And
you
the
have that,
intimidation factor.
yeah, and
It can be a little intimidating.
And using
can
cheap
be.
bits for your tests because you're gonna break them.
yeah,
You're gonna break them.
but once you get past that part and you actually get your files to the machine, the interface, the experience of actually using the machine is just so good.
Yeah.
So have you seen the movie? I actually watched this movie on my way up on the plane on my way up to Maker Camp. Have you seen Blackberry?
No.
It's about the company, the phone, the BlackBerry phone. It's one of the main characters.
I have seen clips of it on TikTok.
Yeah, I think
That's
I
how me and
have
Dan
too,
watch
actually.
movies now.
Is the guy from he was Dennis in It's Always Sunny.
Yep.
And
Oh yeah.
it is so good. So like BlackBerry, obviously they were on top of the market. I mean, like they had like 80% of the market share of mobile phones for a time.
Yeah.
Until the iPhone came out. And then
What
they
time
just
to be alive.
Exactly. And so like when the iPhone came out, they just plummeted. I mean, they were done within a year. And that's what I feel like Onefinity is the iPhone to the hobby CNC market's BlackBerry, if that makes sense.
Now I do so I do want to preface because like this is a big like Onefinity love fest. So there's plenty of people out there without Onefinities, running other CNCs and whatnot. And I do want to just preface with like whatever you're running right now, if it's working and that's all you can afford, you don't looking to upgrade or whatever, or it's working, you don't have to upgrade. It's the same thing with the people every day. They're like, hey, should I sell my Prusa and get a Bamboo one? I'm like, does it do what you need? Don't sell it. You're gonna lose money on it. Use the printer you have. Use the printer that a month ago or a year ago was still the best thing out there, but no longer. It's now number 2.
That's why I haven't upgraded to the Elite Foreman yet.
It's still a monster.
Yeah. Not only is it a little intimidating to me with that giant controller, Masso controller, but what I have is working. So
yeah,
if it's broke, don't fix it.
Exactly. Like
I don't want to make anyone feel bad about that. Like the Onefinity, they're great and all the upgrades are awesome. Like even if you have the baseline
they're
one,
absolutely awesome.
Or if you have something completely different, hey, listen, it works. You're happy. That's all that matters. And if you know how to use it, if you're comfortable too, because like Dan, you were saying, it's intimidating. Like, if you're comfortable, that's okay too.
I stay in my comfort zone.
Yeah, we're getting we get no affiliate sales off of Onefinities. Like we're telling you, like use what works for you. We're just telling you like our experience with the machines. They're nice.
Yeah, and that like honestly, I'm very fortunate to have a relationship with to have had a relationship with Onefinity before I started working with them, and that's why I have these machines. But like, I don't know if I would have been able to get one if not for that. Like Festool makes amazing tools, great tools. I don't have a single Festool product, not one.
What? You're not even a real woodworker? What?
Yeah,
That's crazy.
not one. I know that they're incredible, but I just have never been able to justify the cost of it. What I have
What color are your
does
impact drivers? Huh? Bet you they're green.
no, they're not actually. I don't have any of those either. But what I have will do, and it doesn't make any kind of sense for me to get rid of them and blow my savings on changing everything to Festool stuff. As nice
That
as
is
I know that they are.
sensible, and I like it.
Yeah.
So
I like it.
yeah, if
Be efficient and responsible.
if the opportunity ever does come up for you to get a hobby CNC and you don't have one yet, Woodfinity is a great choice. But if you've already got something and it works for you, use it till it breaks.
And that's a Morgan answer, by the way. That's not like Morgan from Onefinity. That's just a Morgan answer.
That's
because you got the machine before you were working with him. Let's be real. Well,
yeah.
I guess you got the machine because you were working with him too. But it's like that was the best one of all the ones.
But
All
I
the ones.
but I had honestly, like I had my machine, my first machine. I had it for over a year before I ever even assembled it.
Boy.
Because I was intimidated by it.
It's scary.
Yeah. But when it kind of push came to shove, it's like, all right, I've got to start working, like I'm just hemorrhaging money working on this shop project. And I was just kind of committed to starting to use it. I'm like, oh, not that bad. It's pretty approachable.
Yeah.
So
Right on.
yeah.
Well, we're also I feel like we're just like chatting away about CNCs, but why don't we get into questions? We had some call-ins, and if we have some time, maybe we'll do a what's on a bench. But why don't we play this?
Yeah, let's do questions.
Go, Black Betty, ram lamb.
Dan, you want to read off some questions?
Who should I read? Let's read Suman's first.
Yeah,
he had a
get his
very good short question, and I can't wait to hear Morgan's answer. Suman writes in, Morgan, what is the largest diameter CNC spindle you can fit in your mouth? Love, Suman. I don't know if he didn't add that last part. I did. Do you have an answer for that? First of all, Suman, right? Like you know.
Yes,
him.
I know.
Okay.
Yes, I know Suman.
Okay.
It's not.
I didn't want this to be really. I didn't want this to be really weird. Who the hell is this guy?
Who's this guy? Why is he asking me about what can fit in my mouth? No, I know Suman.
Is this something you've tested?
Never tested it. I've got a 65 millimeter Makita and an 80 millimeter spindle. I can't fit either of those in my mouth. I don't have any spindles smaller than that, so I don't really have anything to test.
Interesting.
So, Suman, if you know of any smaller diameter spindles that are on the market that you would like me to test, you're welcome to send them to me, and I will test them out on video for you for a fee.
Follow-up question: air-cooled or water-cooled?
Air-cooled.
Ooh, that's a good question.
Air-cooled.
Yeah, I have air-cooled because I don't feel like messing with extra lines or buckets or refrigerants or anything like that. I'm
coward.
Air.
I haven't. Have I talked about this? I don't know if I've talked about this on the podcast. My 80 millimeter spindle. Pete and I have the same spindle. We got it from our friends over in China.
Is yours installed yet?
Yeah, it's installed. I've had it
okay.
installed for quite some time now. It's clogged. The water is not circulating, so it gets hot.
Did you use mayo again?
No, I use water and
shelf-stable mayo.
No, I use water. So the mixture in it is water and 25% RV antifreeze.
Okay.
But it keeps getting clogged, and I don't know what the hell's going on. There's a lid on the water. It's all closed, so there shouldn't be any dust in it. There's not. I've checked the bucket.
Dan,
anyway.
I feel like I need to remind you that Mayo and Miracle Whip are not the same thing. You can't use Miracle Whip in those things.
I would never use Miracle Whip.
I hear
hate
Miracle Whip is referred to as dressing in Nebraska. It is not
It is.
like a bread topping. It's a dressing.
Yeah, my older boomer family call it salad dressing.
So Dan, have you tried like just literally adding a compressor hose to one end, just like blow out whatever was in there? Why would you do that?
But I don't want to create a mess. I'm afraid of creating a mess.
No, I mean, like, anyway, you might want to blow it out, push some air through it. That's interesting. I actually didn't realize that your thing was clogged. So are you running it with it clogged?
I run it sparingly with it clogged. So it'll get a little hot and then I'll let it cool off and then I'll run it again.
Boy.
And I feel it with my hand. I'm like, well, it's good. It's good to go now. So I know if it's getting too hot because my dust boot, the one that I've had 3D printed, I think I got it from Mike over at Pix to Proto. It'll get loose. It'll get loose because either the dust boot is melting.
Oh, it got hot and stretched out.
But when it cools off, it tightens back up. So.
Oh, that's so funny.
You know what?
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Morgan.
No,
I just thought I'd bring it. You reminded me of that.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, you know what I found doesn't clog up? Air. Yeah. I might have to go that direction.
But they are louder because that fan noise on it. So there's that. But I guess if you're cutting,
I will say my spindle's pretty quiet.
Yeah, if you're cutting plywood though, it's like there's no amount of anything that'll make that thing quiet.
Right. Like I mean, pretty much just unless you're doing like a very shallow, like a 3D carve or something where you're just basically just kissing the material. If you're making, any sort of reasonable depth cuts, the noise that the spindle or router makes becomes negligible. It's just the sound of the bit in the material.
So does the air cooling one blow it down like most routers do? Does it blow the air down through it?
Honestly, I don't even know. I don't know what happens to the air.
I kind of like when, once I upgraded to this the spindle, I liked that it left the material there. It didn't shoot it in every direction, because that's the one thing I disliked about having the old carbide router.
Yeah, the routers will do that. So honestly, I don't really understand. I don't know how the airflow works, because I have mine in an enclosure, and I haven't really sat there and watched it and scrutinized.
Well, if it's shooting the material away, it's probably just like a router.
It might be. I can see that. I think that there's vents at the top. It might pull air through from the top.
That's fine. I'll FaceTime Stone. It's all good.
Isn't that nice though? It's just I have a guy.
Just hit him up.
It's not just that I have a guy. I have the guy.
I have 3 guys. That's great.
There you go.
It's almost 5 guys. Hey yo.
Two on record.
Yeah. All right, let's get to the next question. Dan, do you want to just kind of abbreviate it a little bit?
No, I'm going to read the whole thing because I like the way he read it. It's very descriptive. Do you want? He requested that you read it in your French accent. I hate really reading
I get weird with reading with an audience.
Fine, I'll do it. I'll do it.
Go ahead.
This one is from Thomas, and he didn't record one this week. And it goes like this. Okay. First, sorry, I remembered it was podcast night too late, so I'm writing my question. Pete, please cue the French accent.
Oh.
Actually, no, maybe Dan can do it. You know what? Morgan has a nice mustache. Surely he can do the French.
Oh,
do the French.
But you wouldn't ask a guest to read the question, would you? I guess it's for you, Pete. Sorry. No, Thomas, you got me.
You got Dan
not doing
today.
The French accent. Because unlike Pete, I will read. I can't talk well. I will read in front of an audience, but I can't do accents. He asks, I have been asked to engrave a board for someone, something simple, just an image. Not a problem. Actually, the image is an effing Ouija board. Yeah, don't ask. My client want me to engrave a few boards that look like the Ouija board with the drop to show the letters and everything. They told me that they changed the design and we're going to use the church water or whatever on it, so it would call only good spirits and not demons, I guess. I'm not one to believe in God or demons, and I'm good with people that do, but I have seen enough movies to not take a chance to have a piece of wood talk to me and possess me. Plus, I'd rather not have my head do 360s while turning wood. That seems a bit irresponsible. On the other hand, I have a family to eat food. I have a family that eats food. And food costs money.
By the way,
And
Dan's
they
not reading
promised
this
me,
funny. It's like the French translation a little bit.
yes.
Yeah.
And they promised me many treasures. Well, a few euros, but that would help get the food too. So what would you do? If you don't have news from me, don't worry. I might be in bed upstairs screaming about some mother or something. Bye. So I think he's asking, would you take on a commission if you didn't feel comfortable with it just because somebody was paying you?
So
Morgan, do you still do commissions?
Yeah, let's go with Morgan first.
I have okay, so it's kind of a loaded question.
First of all, would you do a Ouija board?
Would I? Yeah. Okay, so if somebody that I know and care about asked me to do a Ouija board, I would do it for them for material cost. I don't do commissions for strangers.
Strangers
if somebody,
are the worst.
I hate strangers. If there's the worst people in the world are the people you don't know.
Especially ones that have a priest on speed dial to bless their Ouija boards.
Right. You can't trust somebody who has a priest on speed.
Oh, let me call him Father Minigan or whatever.
No, but yeah, I'll do stuff for people that I know and care about, and I'll do it for them for, I mean, sometimes just cause. But no, I don't,
because
like
it might sound fun to do, right? I mean, that plays a factor into it for you, I would imagine.
Yeah, I don't like dealing with strangers. They're unpredictable. They're can be picky.
Yeah.
Poor communication skills.
Can confirm.
And
they might have an AOL email or something.
and will often try to pay you less than what your time and energy is worth. So no strangers. So actually, I guess the short answer to that is no, I don't do commissions. I do stuff for other people, and if I do it, it's for somebody that I want to do it for, and I know, and I don't usually charge them for it.
Right.
Unless it's like a real big project. Like I built out like a whole retail store last year for my aunt. And I charged way less than I would have charged anybody else, but it was family, and it was a cool project.
Yeah, not a stranger.
Family. Yeah.
Right. And so that's fine. But is it a question like are you morally opposed to doing a Ouija board?
I mean, you wouldn't have an issue with it.
No, so if my brother or my sister or my mom or my dad asked me to make a Ouija board for them, yeah, whatever, yeah, fine. Like, what's the issue?
He doesn't really say he might be morally opposed, but if he is, he kind of skirts that.
No,
does he? That's a good point, though. Here's the thing: morally opposed to it?
Is it a moral issue? So, like, do you think that just a piece of wood that was, the second you set it down on your machine, it's just a piece of wood, but as soon as you engrave something on it, it somehow becomes an evil object possessed by demons that are going to hurt you? Like, what's...
I will rebuttal that with, and I'm going to offend an entire religion here, but like, do you think that sprinkling some water and saying certain words in English is going to make that piece of wood not do that? So both arguments are a little out there.
Right. So yeah.
We're walking up thin ice here. We're getting to Joe Rogan territory.
Episode 186, the one where it all ends.
I
Morgan
think
Rogan.
I think that a Ouija board is nothing but a piece of wood with a specific design on it, and any
Right.
power that it may have is power that we give it, is power that
Right.
we allow it to have with our thoughts and intentions.
Oh,
That's
okay.
that was too deep.
Sorry,
Right.
that's
Pete,
that's
did you
it for the
already
thing.
give your
Well, my
take, or do you want
answer,
to add
I
more?
answered it in the pre-show, which is like, listen, it's the same thing if like somebody asked me to like make them like a Jumanji board. No, I don't want to go somewhere where I'm going to pop out 30 years later and then like have to explain to some people like, I've been stuck inside a game for whatever. Like, do you want to risk it, guys? Like, let's be real. Do you want to risk it? Do you want to get stuck in a video or a board game? Getting hunted by the guy with the big blunderbuss?
Van Pelt.
Yeah, just listen. Why risk
He
it?
looks like Van Pelt. Morgan does. Good lord.
You actually do, yeah.
You should see me in my safari hat.
Ooh, hunt me, daddy. Sorry, did I say that out loud?
Oh boy.
Slay. Is that still cool to say? I don't know, whatever. But so in the reality is like I would do it, but the whole time, and I would have to like tell the customer and be like, hey, I'm gonna do a lot of like complaining online. Like it's not about the project, it's just in general. And I would just be like leaning into the fact, like, I guess my house is haunted now, or like, oh, I'm screwed.
Right.
I would just make a whole bit out of it.
But not like just a Ouija board. Would you make something as a commission that you were morally opposed to just for the commission? I think that's what Toma is trying to ask here.
So here's the thing, and again, I'm just being very honest here. I'm not like I grew up in a very Catholic family. I have no opposition to religion or anything like that. There's a huge market where I live for like engraved crosses and things like around religion. I have no interest in doing that. And if somebody wanted me to make like religious symbols or something, or some special carves with religious sayings, like I do it, but that's not my clientele. That's not who I'm trying to. I want to do fun, engaging, unique, weird projects because that's what excites me now. I really don't want to do stuff. And again, I'm not trying to like offend anyone. It's just like, for me, I try to stay out of politics and religion. That's my main things. I stay out of those two and just have fun with making, because there's no politics and religion in making. It's just making. Is it cool? Yeah.
Right.
Is it unique? Yeah. Like, let's have fun. So, but Dan, what do you think?
I would 100% do it. I am not a religious person at all, but
Dan's life is clearly already haunted.
However, I would do it just because I'm a business person and I'm trying to make money and feed my family. Like Toma had mentioned, food costs money and my family likes to eat food.
So needy,
however, I am a little petty. So I might write something in the glue up that you'll never see, but I'll know it's there. Like where you edge joint some boards, like might write something like this is all bull crap and
just a pentagram out of glue out of tape on 3.
Yeah.
So you would have cursed the object with your actions.
Sure, it would be haunted by me for
the old Dunlap curse.
Sorry.
Worst case scenario, you just end up on a mediocre podcast on Thursday night.
I may have done something. It had nothing to do with religion, right? I made a headboard for a friend of mine a couple years ago. I think if you go back far enough on my Instagram page, you'll see a cherry headboard that I made with some floating nightstands that have a single pedestal leg. It turned out really amazing. But this good friend of mine, and I don't think he listens to this podcast, and if he does, I'm sorry, Zach. He is adamant about hating with the fire of 1,000 suns Nickelback.
Oh.
He hates Nickelback. And I don't mind Nickelback. So I wrote I love Nickelback in the glue ups.
Oh, that's so
I mean,
petty.
it'll never be seen unless you break
God.
it apart. But when you break a glue joint like that, everybody knows that the glue joint is stronger than wood, so it'll never be seen. But I know it's there, and it's by his head every night. So suck it, Zach.
Personally, I would make 1,000 Ouija boards, I would make 10,000 pentagrams before I would make anything having to do with praising Nickelback.
Oh, so there is a limit.
Oh,
Okay, we found the limit.
We found the limit. It has nothing to do with Satan himself. It's actually Chad Kroger of Nickelback I can't deal with.
Dan, show title, Nickel Hop. Oh, that'd be great. What a troll move. So dumb. Dan, I completely forgot about that story. I remember that from a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's an oldie
so
but a
petty.
goodie. I don't know if I ever shared that online.
Dude, like, so Morgan, you don't, and most of our audience doesn't know Dan like I know Dan, and Dan is legitimately one of the most petty people ever. Like, not in a bad way, but like in an endearing way, because like he'll send me screenshots of like conversations with, granted it's not on him, dumb Etsy customers, like the uneducated Etsy customers, and he just gives it to them. Like he'll straight up refund them, like, yeah, thanks, so go away. Like just dismisses them completely, and I'm like, I respect you so much. I respect that, because it's like, you know, it's integrity in your business too, being able to just say like, listen, I'm done with you.
The cool thing about digital products is that like a refund is like no big deal at all. It's no skin off your back. You don't have to ship anything back. It's like nobody's gonna fight you. It's just like I did this work 2 years ago. You want your $10 back? You can have it. Sure.
I just dealt with a guy, okay, and I responded publicly to his really scathing review on my Etsy store. This gentleman bought a bow tie template and the whole kit. So I sell it for $39.99. That comes with an acrylic template and 12 pack of bow ties, or 9.
Why don't you just make it $40? Just be regular.
Just because
why $39.99? Come on.
$39.89.
However, anything international, I charge an additional $30 shipping fee.
Yeah. Why not?
Otherwise,
$29.99.
I don't know. I should.
What about
Morgan's very upset about this.
$20.99. Really trouble.
So, why not $29.98
from other countries? That sounds very Walmarty. I can't do that.
It's like it's going on sale soon. It's 98.
If you
We're
buy
rolling back prices.
If you buy anything international, there's always additional taxes and duties. Okay, so this guy bought a template from me, $39.99.
Beat me to it.
He had to pay the additional shipping fee. I think it was going to Canada, and then he had to pay additional taxes and whatever fees that Canada charges. I think they call it a VAT. Yeah, and it came close to $100. Yes, it came close to $100. But you know what? I'm not here to question what people are spending their money on.
Yeah,
it's all open. It's all public. The guy bought it. I sent it out the next day because I had one already done, and he messaged me like a day after I mailed it and said, "Hey, I want my money back. I would never spend $100 on this. I didn't see that it was $100 until I looked at my
But you just did.
You pressed play, bud. I'm sorry."
So he pressed the buy button. How am I supposed to know what he's going to spend money on? I don't know. I'm not here to question that. You buy my product, I send it out.
Yeah.
So he started off really rude. And I straight up told him, wow, if you would have started this conversation a little bit kinder, it probably would have got you farther. I said, the best I can do is if you ship it back to me, I'll just refund your money. Well, who's going to pay to ship it back? I'm like, well, that's on you. That's not my responsibility. Why would I pay for that? And he got really mad, and he left me a really crappy review. I think he's one of my first 10 reviews if you go to my Etsy store right now.
People are too used to
why would I do that?
Amazon and like free shipping and all this stuff.
Amazon does it, no questions asked. Like they don't.
I'm not Amazon. I'm not a
Amazon,
big conglomerate.
Here's your money back.
Workshop.
You know?
Exactly, and you shouldn't be expected to behave like Amazon.
They just don't get it.
People don't get that. People don't get it at all. Like, well, it's going to cost me.
You were totally in the right.
It cost me $30 to send it back. Well,
so
Sorry.
For those of you that are like either dabbling in Etsy or an Etsy like full blown, like with returns, when there's a return policy that Etsy recommends that you use on every single product, you have to have a return policy.
I use their suggested policy.
Use the suggested policy. It literally says you will be refunded what is it? Undamaged item minus shipping, the return shipping. So basically the value of an undamaged item minus shipping. So if you said, buy something for $50, $20 shipping, they have to take $20 out of it for the shipping. So they'll get $30 back if it's fully functional. But if this thing is damaged, it's up to the business owner to be like, hey, this thing's broken in half. Like, or like it's been clearly used or something like that. You can discount that even further and you're fully in a right to do it. The problem is they can still leave you a bad review, but
you can also publicly respond to the reviews.
Although I think if you processed a return, they can't leave you a review. I don't know if that's true.
You have to cancel.
Okay.
The order, and you can do that even after it's been delivered. And I've done that a few times.
Okay,
like
that's good to know.
I've had a few people like just complain. I'm like, whatever, just cancel the order. You're not worth my time or effort. And I have very little patience when it comes to stupidity.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, sorry, tangent.
Timestamp, Dan. Morgan, you still there?
Yeah.
Okay, your
video's frozen.
That was a flattering thing to freeze on, wasn't it?
I know. Okay, never mind. We're not going to time out. We're just going to keep going.
Okay.
His face is like.
I didn't even notice that he wasn't moving. I was too busy like ranting.
No, it's fine. Well, since we have
I look rough.
Pause,
wow.
Nothing says awkward pause like Kamani calling him with a voicemail. So why don't we play his voicemail next?
Okay.
All right.
And I'm sure at some point I'll unfreeze.
That's fine.
Maybe you know what? Actually, can we just make this the thumbnail when you put it on YouTube? Just make it just that.
Just us like pointing to him.
Oh boy!
His voicemail
All
from
right,
Kamani. You can turn your video off and on and see if that'll work. But let me play this real quick.
Yeah, I'm gonna try that.
Hey guys, it's Kamani. Hey Morgan, how's it going? Welcome to the show. I have 2 questions for you. One, I might be in a position where I kind of have to downsize my shop for a little bit. So what tips can you give for working in a smaller workspace, or options for maybe buying, kind of like what you did, a external home type thing and converting it into a workspace? And number 2, is the mustache coming to Workbench Con, or is that like a seasonal thing like pumpkin spice lattes? Okay, thanks. Bye.
Like that.
Seasonal. Get out of here.
Tackle these in whatever order you want, Morg.
Well, what are first? Well, actually, let's start backwards. Mustache. Seasonal? Is it PSL?
It's seasonal, all right. It's I mean, it comes and goes. I'll be honest.
PSL. Pumpkin sucking lips? No? What does PSL stand for?
PSL? Pumpkin spice latte?
Morgan's looking at me like he's very disgusted with me right now.
We're very disappointed in you.
Partially salty lips.
Ooh. Yes, Daddy.
Okay.
Partially salty lips. Not totally, just partially.
It's like when you make chocolate chip cookies, like a little salt.
Yeah. A little bit's good, right?
Just unhinged episode. I love it. What was the other question?
It was.
I don't think he ever really answered the question. I cut him off.
It was about working in a small shop or some crap. I don't know what it's. Whatever.
Is the stash coming to Workbench Con or not?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, but I mean, more than likely. So it's the stash. Honestly, it's not totally my decision. It really depends on my wife's mood.
Oh, yeah, wife. Huh.
It depends on my wife's mood and her tolerance for it. Sometimes she thinks it's funny, and other times it makes her want to throw up, and sometimes it does make her throw up. So it depends on how she's feeling. I'm powerless in my facial hair decisions.
I
I
can
intend
relate.
to be. I intend to bring it to Workbench Con. Yes, that's my official answer.
Attaboy.
Uh,
Attaboy.
I said this in the pre-show. I was actually going to shave off my quote-unquote beard. It's getting pretty scruffy, and just leave the mustache just in honor of this episode. And my wife put her foot down, and she was not having it. So I can relate. I don't get full control over this.
Yeah. I mean, how much control do we really have over anything?
I have full control over everything. It's a good thing that Emma doesn't listen to
I'm
this
lacking
podcast.
some things that hold authority.
Now, I figure Emma's probably going to go to Workbench Con. Dan, I don't know if yours will be there.
She will not. She wants no part of this.
Emma's the podcast manager. So
right.
She has to
Emma
go.
is contractually obligated to be there.
Yeah. She's going, we might not. She is going, we might not.
So
is that a thing we can do in the future? Send Emma in lieu of you and I being
She'll just wear the thing and it'll just say like Emma AWP.
Okay. So just had an idea. So many woodworkers. I can't grow a beard. But so many woodworkers have beards, right? And so many of those bearded woodworkers are going to be at Workbench Con. Can we just start a campaign day before you leave, day of you leaving? Can you just shave it all down to a mustache? And literally everybody there has a mustache. And then you can do whatever you want when you leave.
So I think it's going to be a hard sell because, I might ruffle some feathers here.
And that's a signature look. I know that that's a signature look for some people.
They're cowards. They're cowards and they won't do it. They're big cowards, biggest cowards in the world. On a scale of 1 to coward, they are them. So they won't do it. This is me calling them out.
I'll do it. My wife can't control me when I'm in Atlanta.
Tell me.
That's where this started. I'm like, well, she's not going to tell you can't have a mustache in Atlanta.
That being said, I won't be shaving my beard. I'll trim it up.
Solidarity with you.
To be neat.
If I show up to Atlanta and you're not rocking a mustache and I am, I'm going to be very upset. I'll tell you that much.
Listen, if through whatever circumstance I have to get rid of this thing, I promise you, I will bring a fake mustache and wear it in solidarity with you.
Classy. Like we should hire like one of those like barber vans to like come out and like do like straight up trims, like nice cut.
Sit back in the chair and they're using straight razor.
Walk away with
straight razors.
Bro. Let's do it. I will shave a mustache. I will put up with Emma screaming at me for 2 days.
I'll come to the con with a stash. You heard it here first. I'm doing it.
Yeah, so Kamani asked the question. Kamani, you're the first person that I am challenging to do that. Get rid of everything else. Leave the mustache. We're all doing it. Be one of the cool kids.
So at this point, no one is listening. It's an hour and a half into the episode. So let's just lock it down because we're really not obligated. No one's listening anymore. But if you want to be part of the stash mafia, during Workbench Con, we will do it. I say like Saturday night, Friday, Saturday night, we'll do something like that. And we'll just do stashes. Whoever's down to do it. And we should just get a nice
you want me to shave there?
Oh, why not?
I'm going to come shaved. I'm not going to shave when I'm there.
Well, why?
Listen, I don't know what kind of...
when you shave. It does not...
I'm going to arrive in Atlanta.
I'm going to arrive shaved. Now, see, we have a shaving party. Just all of us in a room.
Now you're bordering on weird. Now you're...
Fine, do it in a lobby.
I can't get down with that.
The security guard will try to stop us.
I shave alone.
Here.
I celebrate alone.
All right, and what was the original question of like, what are some tips for this guy? Why is Kamani down?
Small shop tips.
I don't.
Should he buy a tough shed?
Yeah. So Kamani, I don't know. Wait, I like your shop. You have a nice shop. I don't know why you'd be downsizing. Not my business. But so I think the best advice I can give to be concise is be mindful of vertical space. People will often lay out a shop and only consider square footage. So like length by width. Be like, this tool takes up this much floor space, this one takes up this much floor space, and just kind of go about that. But by considering vertical, by considering the height factor. So not square feet, cubic feet. You can fit a lot more tools and fit them not just to have them in there, but actually make them functional, be able to use them by considering vertical space. So like I have my joiner. It's a benchtop joiner, but I have it on a pedestal, and I feed the material this way, and then under that pedestal I have my planer, and it feeds wood this way. So when I push wood across the joiner, it's already right where it's supposed to be to push it through the planer. And they sit on top of each other, so they don't take any additional floor space. My CNC, my 4x4 CNC is under the outfeed of my table saw and router table. There's so much I feel like wasted space in a lot of shops just by not considering vertical space, and that's how I've been able to get as much as I have into my shop.
So what you're saying is sometimes you just got to get down on your knees to get work done.
Yes.
Okay. I was gonna say, so think about your shop space in a 3-dimensional aspect instead of a singular plane, like you're saying floor space. But the way Pete said it was interesting.
Yeah.
But Dan, you're saying it much smarter than I am. Like,
so
you're using better words.
I know for a fact Kamani recently got some new knee pads. Call back to the stoop. But Kamani got some new knee pads. So time to put those boys to work. Start maybe going under the cabinets. But if you wanna grow your small space, get on your knees. And
that's good advice right there, man.
Advice.
What a wonderful callback.
You're welcome, everyone with small shops. But no, I do agree with
there was only like 8 or 9 of us in the stoop that night.
Yeah. But that's
actually, you know what? We talked about this the last time I was on, episode 96. Somebody was asking about 91, something like that. Somebody was asking about dust collection. They had like these very high ceilings, and they were asking about the best way to do dust collection.
I think that might have been Jake. Why do I remember that?
Yeah. Oh, really? I was thinking it was maybe Scott.
And so everybody's, kind of had their own strategy about, plumbing, all that stuff in a high ceiling shop. And my response was, don't have one giant dust collector and plumbing running all over the place. Have several smaller dust collectors just dedicated to 1 or 2 tools in different stations.
Right on. I mean, that's not a bad answer. That's good.
And so that's what I have here. I don't have one big dust collector and plumbing all over the place. It just, each station, I guess you'd call it, has 2 or 3 tools, and it's just dedicated to that. And that's great for noise, because my shop is very, very close to my house. It's the exterior wall of my shop is 18 inches from the exterior wall of my house. And so a big dust collector it wouldn't work if I wanted to do stuff early in the morning or late at night.
Yeah.
And it's not necessary. So when you've got one big dust collector plumbed to all these tools all over the shop, it's trying to pull air from everywhere, and you only use one tool at a time. I don't need it trying to pull all that power and all that air from all these other tools when I'm just using one tool at a time. So it's just a smaller, more compartmentalized dust collection.
A small shop, they tend to heat up a lot faster or cool off faster. But at least heat up faster. If you have a big machine like that running, like they can heat up the shop too.
For sure.
My big dust collector
dust
definitely
collectors throw off a lot of heat. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it'll get toasty in there.
Yeah.
All right.
So I feel like I got way passionate about that, but that's
good.
No, like after having done this, like that was when I was on last, and that was all I could think of. So it was a theory at that point. And then when I got the shop, that's what I actually did. And so in practice, I found that that is actually a sound theory. It does. It's much more manageable, especially in a small space like this. May not work in a big shop. But
right on.
I think in a big shop it might work even better. I mean, if you got all that head space, you're having to run a lot more pipe
and more
you
distance.
got a lot more distance to pull from.
Yeah.
Which in turn means you need a bigger machine. I think in theory that's probably a better solution than one giant central machine.
Yeah.
And it's kind of gotten me thinking about my situation.
Yeah, I mean, I have a couple dust collection zones myself. I have the big one, but it only does 3 tools. Just like joiner and pipes and flexi pipes or whatever. But like I have like the CNC has its own dust collection. The sanders have its own dust collection. Like it's all separate. So that's good advice. Good advice. But I try to ask Kamani why he's downsizing while we're chatting here. He's not answering because he's probably sleeping. Actually, no, he's
on the West Coast.
He's on the West Coast. He's still awake. You know, his reel is blowing up right now, so he's probably like, oh, I'm a celebrity. So like, you know, like
he's just watching.
Yeah, he ain't gonna answer.
He's watching that like number tick up.
Is he up to 4 million views now?
I don't know.
3 million views, something like that.
That's wild.
That's good for him. Yeah, it's popping off. Finally, awesome. He made it after all the rap videos and the feud with Lee. It's finally happening.
Drinks on Kamani at Workbench.
Drinks on Kamani at Workbench Con. Guys, thank you. Well, that's it. That's the show. That's the wrap.
Oh, that's it.
That's it. I mean, we're like hour 45 in, so we should probably wrap it.
Yeah, that should probably be it.
But Morgan, thank you so much for hopping on again,
one.
dude. It was amazing to have you on. We cannot wait
to
see
what you did there.
Yeah. We cannot wait to have you, we're going to have you at Workbench Con. No, we cannot wait to see you at Workbench Con, and all of us do our, mustache trims. That's going to be great. It's going to be a nice bonding experience for all of us. And if you want to join us at Workbench Con, make sure to use code AWP when you buy your ticket for $50 off. Next week, our guest is Hamilton Dilbeck, and he's going to talk about some pretty spicy drama. So make sure to tune in. It's going to be a lot of fun. And Dan, do you have anything else to add?
Not really. I think you nailed all the points except the patrons. I'd like to give the patrons.
Talk about the patrons, Dan.
I'd like to thank the patrons one more time. We love you. You guys keep the lights on, as we say all the time. If you want to join the Matt Army, as we lovingly call it, go over to Another Woodshop Podcast. Nope, don't do that.
Nope.
Go to patreon.com/Another Woodshop Podcast and get signed up over there. Other than that, I think we're good.
Thank you guys for
joining. I don't
joining.
have any more words. I'm out
of words.
No more words.
We'll see y'all next week. We love y'all. Bye.
Bye. Thanks for having me.